A formal expression reflects both mourning and gratitude for a life described as loyal and devoted. It also acknowledges the weight of inheritance and the significant responsibilities that come with holding a sovereign role. These themes highlight the balance between personal experience and public duty within the monarchy. For several decades, a deeply personal situation remained largely unspoken at the center of the royal institution. Rather than being documented in official records, it was carried privately by an individual who had spent much of his life under strict expectations. From an early age, his choices, emotions, and public behavior were shaped by established traditions and institutional pressures, despite his position within one of the most influential royal systems in the world. In later life, particularly during a period marked by health challenges, internal family changes, and increasing responsibility, there has been a gradual acknowledgement of past circumstances. Observers suggest that a broader understanding of these experiences, including institutional decision-making, personal relationships, and family tensions, offers a different perspective on the monarchy as a whole. The origins of this situation can be traced back to a highly publicized royal wedding in 1981, held at a major cathedral in London and watched by a global audience of hundreds of millions. While widely perceived as a fairy-tale event, reports indicate that the reality was more complex. Accounts suggest that the groom experienced emotional conflict prior to the ceremony due to an existing attachment to another, who was not considered an appropriate match within royal expectations. Biographical sources describe a sense of pressure to proceed with rooted in tradition and duty. At that time, expectations surrounding royal were strict, particularly regarding background and public perception. The chosen bride came from a respected family and was viewed as meeting these expectations, while the other individual was considered unsuitable under prevailing standards. The presence of this unresolved relationship influenced from the beginning. Public statements made later by the bride reflected the strain within the relationship, indicating that it was affected by the involvement of a third party. Over time, this situation contributed to ongoing difficulties, including separation and eventual divorce, as well as long-lasting emotional consequences for those involved. For many years, details of the relationship remained largely unconfirmed in the public sphere, though speculation persisted. This changed in the early 1990s when a private telephone conversation from the late 1980s was made public by the press. At the time of the recording, both individuals involved were married to other partners. The release of this conversation provided clear evidence of their continued closeness. The revelation of this material sparked broad public reaction and had a severe influence on the monarchy's reputation. It verified long-held suspicions and highlighted questions about institutional transparency. According to reports, the recording was collected accidentally by a private citizen using radio equipment and then handed on to a publication. The royal household's response was seen as serious and worried, particularly given the possible damage to public trust. The situation brought to light long-standing issues around privacy, media relations, and public image management. It also demonstrated the larger contradiction between upholding tradition and reacting to growing public criticism. This incident continues to serve as a prime example of how personal ties and institutional demands can collide, sometimes with far-reaching effects. It also reflects ongoing discussions about how the monarchy combines confidentiality and responsibility in the modern era. For many years, a strategy of seclusion and information control helped to keep the monarchy stable, yet signs of pressure were constantly there. Over time, it has become obvious that a secrecy-based system is subject to disturbance when new information emerges. In later life, the current monarch tends to be more frank about this risk, particularly when dealing with both personal health issues and institutional responsibilities. In early 2024, an official notification verified the monarch's cancer diagnosis. The disease was identified during a normal medical test for a separate, non-cancerous ailment. Additional tests later confirmed the diagnosis. This declaration represented a notable change from long-standing practice, since British monarchs had hitherto kept health problems extremely private, often disclosing little or no information to the public. Previous generations maintained a great level of confidentiality regarding medical issues, with even serious illnesses being shared in limited detail. The choice to communicate honestly about a cancer diagnosis marked a significant shift in strategy. It signified a shift toward increased transparency and a readiness to involve the public in personal health discussions. Following the declaration, the monarch incorporated cancer awareness into her official duties. This included going to treatment centers, interacting with patients, hosting charitable events, and taking part in a nationwide awareness campaign. In a recorded message delivered near the end of 2025, the experience of receiving therapy was described as one defined by both uncertainty and appreciation. While particular medical information was not given, the message emphasized the necessity of early identification and how it affects treatment success. Medical reports later suggested that treatment may be lowered, with a shift to a cautious phase. Health experts noted that the public response included an increase in people seeking medical examinations, indicating that the choice to release this information had a real impact. This method demonstrated that transparency about health could coexist with royalty responsibilities, providing a more approachable picture of leadership during a difficult time. Another noteworthy issue during this time was a younger member of the royal family. For years, the institution provided a limited public reaction to concerns and complaints regarding this individual. These concerns were tied to associations with a convicted offender, as well as severe allegations made by a lady who claimed to have been exploited as a minor. A widely watched televised interview designed to address the issue instead heightened public scrutiny. In the early phases, the institution responded carefully, and the individual pulled aside from formal obligations. However, it remained unclear if the answer reflected accountability or an effort to protect the institution's image. A change in leadership resulted in a different approach to the matter. By late 2025, further knowledge and renewed public interest had led to decisive action. Official titles, duties, and awards linked with the individual were removed, and long-term residence arrangements were terminated. Observers noticed that these procedures were designed to establish a clear difference between the individual and the monarchy's operational framework. Legal proceedings ensued, including an investigation into alleged malfeasance. In response, an official statement underlined the significance of respecting the legal process and allowing it to proceed unimpeded. While carefully worded, this response was a more straightforward acknowledgement of the issue than had been common in prior decades. This chain of events demonstrates the monarchy's shifting strategy, which shifts from rigorous control of information to a more public and accountable stance. It also highlights the problems that a long-standing organization faces in adapting to current expectations of transparency and accountability. Now that he is in control, Charles has decided that something must change. Whether he is motivated by genuine belief or the understanding that Andrew is too dangerous to protect, the outcome is obvious. The king has cut connections. The lost son, Harry, and the unhealed wound. King Charles' secrets would be incomplete without addressing his strained relationship with his younger son, Prince Harry. Many people are aware of the basic details. In 2020, Harry and Meghan retired from royal duties and relocated to the United States. In 2021, they conducted a stunning interview with Oprah Winfrey. Then, in 2023, Harry released his book, Spare, which featured allegations of physical altercations with William and a distant relationship with Charles. Harry said the royal family prioritized the press over his well-being. What is less discussed is how this estrangement will affect Charles personally when he begins his reign. The new Wikipedia entry for Charles III mentions his estranged relationship with Harry. Insiders say Charles and Harry last met in person at Clarence House in September 2025, when Harry returned to the UK due to legal concerns. This meeting was brief and private, thus many concerns remained unaddressed. According to reports published in early 2026, Harry and Meghan may consider returning to London. If this happens, the royal family will need to plan carefully. Ian Pelham-Turner, a former royal photographer, stated that anything Harry says right now indicates that he does not want to harm his chances of returning. Perhaps the most important secret here is Charles' tremendous anguish as a parent who has lost his kid in such a public manner. Now 77 and facing a cancer diagnosis, he maintains a hidden hope for reconciliation, but he never expresses it aloud. This hope may be Charles' most personal secret. Charles, the monarch, is quietly rebuilding. Despite health concerns, the Andrew affair, and a strained relationship with Prince Harry, King Charles is quietly transforming the monarchy to reflect his vision. Many of the alterations would have been unacceptable to Queen Elizabeth II. In contrast to his mother's 3-hour event in 1953, Charles chose a 1-hour ceremony for his coronation in May 2023. This choice demonstrates respect for tradition while yet departing from it. Royal photographer Chris Jackson stated in a 2025 Vanity Fair interview that the palace's approach to access and imagery had shifted under Charles. His coronation included images taken from behind the royal couple, which would have been refused during the Queen's reign. In October 2025, Charles became the first British king since the Reformation to worship with the Pope. During his journey to the Holy See, he participated in a service in the Sistine Chapel with Pope Leo XIV. That same month, he unveiled the UK's first national memorial to LGBT armed forces veterans, demonstrating his support for the LGBT+ community. In May 2025, he opened the 45th Canadian Parliament in person, the first time a Canadian monarch had done so since 1977, despite tensions between Canada and the United States. For the first time, Charles' personal coat of arms appears on new British passports issued in late 2025. In a move toward financial discipline, he approved the closure of the royal train, which had been in service for 180 years. Charles intends to leave William a monarchy that is simpler, more open, more connected with the world, and less reliant on outdated traditions that have done more harm than good. King Charles III has finally admitted to himself that he has become king after 70 years. During his years as heir, he was forced to suppress his thoughts and comply to the monarchy's expectations on matters such as architecture, environmental policy, and farming. He was frequently mocked for talking to his plants and discussing climate change before it was widely understood. Many regarded him as odd and out of touch. Now 77 years old, he is king, and a cancer diagnosis has made him more mindful of time. He contends with a divided family and many strains on the monarchy. He has also made mistakes, harbored secrets, and loved in complex ways, but he strives to be genuine. His recent acts indicate that he is not disclosing any bombshell secrets. Instead, he emphasizes how he spent his life performing a character before he could genuinely be himself. He is now attempting to be honest with the public, the institution, and perhaps himself. By revealing his cancer, he broke a long-standing royal taboo. His way to dealing with Andrew also goes against royal precedent. His efforts to modernize the monarchy and openly discuss sickness indicate that he is ready to stop performing and simply be himself. Diana claimed in her famous interview that she was married to 3 people. This was also true for Charles, Diana, and Camilla, who struggled to meet the monarchy's standards. 2 of them are now free, but Charles, 77 and battling cancer, is finally speaking the truth from the throne he has waited a lifetime to occupy. This circumstance indicates that the British monarchy, an ancient and hidden institution, is beginning to shift. At the core is a man who was expected to be straightforward and strong, but has instead demonstrated complexity and fragility. How history judges Charles will be determined by what happens next with Harry, the institution, his health, and the ongoing discoveries. However, it is evident that Charles, at 77, is beginning to let go of the secrets he has kept for so long. If this message speaks to you, please like and subscribe to follow this essential journey, and share your thoughts in the comments. Is King Charles due greater credit, or has the monarchy's legacy of secrecy caused too much harm? I will see you in the future update.